Position this week. Debuting at 2 is Lord of the Flies on Netflix. And holding on to the top spot for a second week is the new mystery Widow's Bay on Apple TV, your #1 streamed show.
And those are your top TV streams of the week on iHeartRadio.
This is Ticket 760, KTKR San Antonio, your home for sports. Guaranteed human. Make us the #1 preset in your car and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. This is the starting lineup. Here's your host, Karl Schoening.
Welcome into the starting lineup. I'm Karl Schoening, starting out your host and the voice coming through your speakers. LG's in the starting lineup with me today as the audio technician. The Spurs depart for the Northern Tundra of Minnesota for Game 6 of that Western Conference semifinals series. The NCAA needs to shake things up in baseball and football. Adam Silver speaks on the new NBA lottery rules and much more on today's show. However, we do want to start with perhaps the biggest game of the night last night in sports, and that is the Detroit Pistons losing their first home game of the series to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And Cleveland wins it in overtime, 117-113. And this is the first time that the Cavaliers pick up a road win all playoffs. They played 7 games against the Toronto Raptors, and then they did not win one road game in that series. They finally win their first road game of the playoffs in a must-win, in my opinion, Game 5. Detroit had this game in the grasp of their hands, and they set a recent playoff record in terms of the last 5 years for shot clock violations in the fourth quarter. They had 4 of them, and that opened up the door for Detroit or for Cleveland to defeat Detroit and come away with the win in overtime. LG, did you catch any of this? I want to bounce a couple things off you. I don't know if you saw the game last night. Probably should have asked you before we came on air, but
yeah, I tuned in right during the end of the fourth quarter, so I saw the overtime. I saw James Harden, miss a clutch free throw there and gave the Pistons a chance to tie the game there at the end or even win it, but they didn't come through. So
such a weird series. And it feels like, the discourse around the Spurs, how they're the young team that needs to have their heart broken in the playoffs and suffer some kind of defeat in order to be a champion-level team. That's actually the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons don't have a superstar alien like Victor Wembanyama. They have a great player in Cade Cunningham, an MVP candidate who played 48 minutes including the overtime, 39 points, knocked down 6 threes, had 9 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, 6 turnovers though, but
yeah, and one of those potentially a game-losing turnover there late in the end of regulation.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that's super weird about this is a big thing to point out if you didn't watch the game, Duncan Robinson, who's been sort of the second/third scorer for the Pistons, missed the game because of a back injury. So that allowed Dennis Jenkins to get his first playoff start. He plays 41 minutes and has 19 points. And the weirdest thing is Jalen Duren continues to have devolved in these playoffs. He's costing himself quite a bit of money because he's going to ask for a big contract this summer, and B-ball Paul Reed is coming off of the bench and becoming the most impactful big man in the Pistons lineup, and that was not on my bingo card for these playoffs because you would have thought Isaiah Stewart maybe would have stepped up, but instead he's the third string center, and B-ball Paul does contribute 10 points in 17 minutes and provides a little bit better, I guess, output than the Jalen Duren 9 points in 25 minutes. But there's just something going on with Jalen Duren to where he is not in his regular season form in the postseason, and that is going to cost the Pistons a chance to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. A couple other weird things that happened in this game. After dropping a playoff-tying 39 points in the second half, Donovan Mitchell doesn't do much throughout the course of the game until late in regulation and overtime. I guess when he's needed most, he delivers. But Donovan Mitchell didn't hit his first 3 until overtime. He was 0 for 6 entering overtime. and he does finish with 21 points, but it was not the best game for Donovan Mitchell. James Harden does step up, and that was a big deal for the Cavaliers that he steps up when they need him most. He drops 30 points, gets to the free throw line 14 times, makes 11 of those free throws. And that was a big point that JB Bickerstaff pointed out at the end of the series in Cleveland, was that the whistle was a little bit different. The Cavaliers, they earn 18 more trips to the free throw line. I think the Pistons have gotten a little too trigger happy from deep. They aren't necessarily the best three-point shooting team. If it came down to a three-point shootout with the Cavaliers, who, despite Donovan Mitchell's struggles, still shot 40% from behind the three-point line as a team, it's a weird series in the sense that Detroit probably doesn't have the experience that we were talking about to overcome a team like Cleveland, who does have that experience. You look at that entire roster, the Cavaliers have 3 players that have played in the playoffs together multiple years in a row. They make this move for James Harden, who looks a good noticeable step slower than even his days from when he was with the Clippers earlier this season and the 76ers for sure. But I think Evan Mobley played really well. He ended up with 19 points and finished with 3 blocks and knocked down 2 big threes. And overall, the Cavaliers are just the better team than the Pistons, even though the Pistons probably should have put up a better fight. There were just times in those shot clock violations in the fourth quarter that I was just saying, just put up a shot. It's better to have a bad shot and maybe hit the rim and you never know what's going to happen. But a lot of those shot clock violations were just brain lapses on the Pistons, things you cannot have in the final moments of a game. And the Cavaliers come back. I need to double check. They were down like 10 points in the fourth quarter, and they proceed to come away with the win. We'll talk about all the little details about it in the second hour, but I do think that was the biggest game last night. I wanted to lead into it. And one of the things that I tweeted out, one of the few things I tweeted out about the game was at the end of regulation, it looked like Asar Thompson was fouled, tripping up, going after the ball. And maybe he would have been able to grab the ball and call timeout, and they have 1 second left to do something with the ball at the end of regulation. But the refs swallow the whistle. I think both of the commentators for ESPN and Mike Breen said that they were going to they missed the foul call there, but I don't know. That was just a weird foul not to call. It's one of those fouls you call in the regular season, you don't call in the postseason. And Asar Thompson would have had a chance to win the game on free throws at the end of regulation. I'm much happier with the result of letting them play 5 extra minutes than a ticky-tacky, if you shoot the free throws, you're going to knock down the shot and win the game for your team. So it was a weird thing to not call the foul, but I appreciate the refs not calling the foul. And Cleveland comes away with a 113 victory over the Pistons. They have a chance on Friday night before the Spurs-Timberwolves game to close out that series in Cleveland and punch their ticket to a chance to play the New York Knicks. The Knicks, of course, would love a 7-game series. They don't probably care about the Cavaliers or the Pistons. Either side poses some interesting matchups in the front court, but I would say the Knicks are more concerned about getting OG Anunoby healthy, and they would just prefer whoever it is to have played a 7-game series while they're coming off of a sweep. Their rest/rust factor is going to be there. It might as well be as long of a rest as they can get. And the Pistons just need to force that game 7. If you're a Knicks fan, you pull for the Pistons to do so because you probably don't really care or have a preference to which team you play in the Eastern Conference Finals. Do want to talk a little bit about the Knicks a little bit later on in the broadcast as we talk about maybe the Pistons and the Cavaliers later on. I want to touch on a few more things, but we do have a fun show today lined up. We want to talk about some of the Spurs and Timberwolves matchup and maybe yes, a little bit of rage baiting that I saw on the internet, which I think is all in good fun sometimes. I do want to hit on UTSA once again. They had to put out an apology, and I feel like I want to give my 2 cents about the apology. I appreciate the thought process behind it. The NCAA has a couple interesting stories coming out, including a support from a major conference for a 24-team college football playoff model. And of course, now that we're heading into the end of baseball season, there's teams that are canceling their games to help their RPI, and the NCAA needs to step in on that. Plus, Adam Silver wants to talk about a new way to propose anti-tanking. I have thoughts on this one because as Spurs fans, you should be a little bit more in tune to this anti-tanking rule because I think it affects some of the Spurs' assets. And Oklahoma State. I want to just talk about this heading into it, and I'll read the whole article, but it was a headline that caught my eye right before we went on air this morning. LG, you want to take a guess how many new players Eric Morris is going to have in his first year at Oklahoma State?
10.
No. For football, like we're talking full on, rebuild of a roster here.
Okay, let's say 35.
The headline says 85.
Whoa.
I don't know how that's possible, except new coach and transfer portal era, and pretty much anybody that was here before is no longer here, probably. I want to read that article and give you my thoughts on it because that is wild that a college football team has 85 new players. You can essentially have as many players as you want on a college football roster. I feel like some of those rosters have like 110 players by the time you go through all of the practice squad players, but 85 new players on Oklahoma State's roster. That is something that really interests me, and it just caught my eye right before we went on air. I want to read that headline story and talk about it a little bit later in the show as we're going to have to start gearing up for college football, LG. I know that the summer belongs to the MLB and MLS in terms of sports actually happening, but college football is something that I think everybody can get behind, and I need to get back into college football groove of things because I'm so focused in on what I'm doing with UIW football, and the past 5 or 6 years I've also been doing UTSA soccer, so my weekends have been consumed doing play-by-play as opposed to keeping up with every single game of college football and the NFL, which I'm definitely going to have to figure out a way to allot my time to focus in on both of those things because I have no intention of stopping my play-by-play, but I do need to, for the sake of this sports show, focus in on what's going on in the fun drama of the college sports world. That includes the always eventful NCAA football and 85 new players. Just wild. Anyhow, as the starting lineup rolls on, we will talk Spurs when we come back. They have a big game tomorrow night against the Minnesota Timberwolves, a chance to close out the series and go to the Western Conference Finals. That and a lot more here on the starting lineup on Ticket 760. Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by Warchief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving go for Sell the Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the Warchief. And as always, go Spurs go. Hey San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned in to Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760. Ashley.
I know what you want. A great experience when getting your new vehicle, hassle-free and upfront pricing, and we promise that at World Car Hyundai. Right now, get 0% financing on 2026 Hyundai Tucsons and Santa Fe's, plus no payments for 90 days. We have low rates on Elantras and Palisades too. Plus, every new vehicle comes with America's Best 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty and Hyundai Owner's Assurance. Shop online at World Car Hyundai North or WorldCarHyundaiSouth.com and experience the difference for yourself. World Car, for a lifetime.
With approved credit through HMF.
Running for office means having something important to say. Radio is the most personal medium out there. Voters hear the real you, exactly the way you want to be heard. No filters, no AI, just your voice, your message. And it's 1/10 the time and cost of video. Don't just campaign. Connect with millions all over the country, even thousands in the smallest communities with radio. Call now and be on the air in just 48 hours. 844-844-iHeart. That's 844-844-iHeart.
Ready to upgrade to the perfect sleep setup? Let Mattress Firm sleep experts guide you to the perfect bed at the Memorial Day sale. Top brands, ideal comfort. Score unbeatable deals on both. They make sleep easy.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
When people ask what we handle at Absolute Power, the answer is simple. Generators, absolutely. EV chargers, absolutely. Electrical issues, panel upgrades, and much more, absolutely. I'm George Salinas. At Absolute Power, we absolutely care for your home's electrical needs with dependable service you can trust. Call today at 210-904-1521 or visit absolute-pwr.com to schedule your free estimate. Absolute Power Electrical Contractors at your service.
Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included. Content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Yacht Rock Radio on iHeartRadio drops anchor and goes commercial-free every weekend. Weekends were made for smooth sailing. Yacht Rock Radio's got the soundtrack. Just sit back, put your feet up, and enjoy. The smoothest soft rock from the 70s and 80s.
You're the biggest part of me.
Open the free iHeart app, search Yacht Rock, and set sail.
iHeartRadio.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Your home for Spurs talk. This is the starting lineup with Karl Schoening.
Yes, sir. We talk a lot of Spurs on the starting lineup. I'm your host, Karl Schoening, and you can reach out to me on Instagram and X at OnAirKarl. That is Karl with a K, at OnAirKarl with a C. I hope he has not been getting my followers, but I do appreciate everybody that has been interacting with us, whether it be on the YouTube feed or whatever kind of way you want to reach out. You can reach out to our producer at DJ LG. He's the one making sure we look good on YouTube, sound good over the radio.
Yeah. Hit me up on X, DJ LG210.
Yes.
And you can hit up the show, TSL760 on X as well. Jump in the super chat at Starting Lineup Live on YouTube. JC, the T-Man's up in here. He says, morning, gents. Good morning, JC. And Hanover Fist 1 says, good morning to the Starting Lineup crew. Yeah.
Appreciate y'all.
Buenos dias.
Yeah, even if you're just going to say what's up, we like to give you guys shout-outs for just interacting with us in any which way. So, LG, this is Week 3 Thursday, right? We've been doing this for that long. Week
That's
3
correct.
Thursday.
Yes, this is episode 14.
It feels like week 7 Tuesday. I don't know how to explain it otherwise.
It's been a while since I've done daily radio, especially during the morning drive.
And the weird thing about it is I wake up at an unreasonable hour for my body. My body always fights me, and then I need to go back to sleep. And then when I wake up from that nap after the show, there's still a full day ahead of me. So it feels like I have multiple days, and I don't know what day of the week it is. And even though we've only been doing this for 3 weeks, it feels like the start of the show was like 2 months ago.
Yeah, my problem is I can't get to sleep early. I got to bed at like 1 a.m. last night, and I consider that early considering the last few nights it's been like 3 a.m. So I have too many things going on. I was watching that basketball game, Detroit and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then when a new episode of Widow's Bay came out. They come out on Wednesdays, and it was a fantastic episode, by the way. I recommend that show. So I'm distracted over here. I need to get into a rhythm of going to bed earlier.
Yeah, and the nice thing is we're doing the show at your place. I don't know what time you wake up, but just so my brain can kind of get functioning, I try to wake up before 4:30, and then I'm on my way over here sometime around 5:30. And once we figure out how I can do the show at my place, I'm going to try and sleep until about that 5:30 mark.
Okay.
And yeah, so
I wake up at 4:45.
My point being here is, and you guys can watch the live stream to confirm that this is an energy drink and not a beer that I'm tapping open right now, but I need energy drink this morning right now. I've not consumed enough caffeine, and my brain is a little mushy. And in the what I was getting at entirely was Thursday, 3 weeks in, this is the most my brain is sort of struggling. I didn't even give out your handle correctly. It's at DJLG210, but like I'm just not there yet. So I'm going to take a sip of this real quick.
Okay, and if you want to help support the caffeine addiction here, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thestartinglineup. And we have one comment from yesterday. Chris Silva bought us a coffee. He says, "Go Spurs, go. Keep it going. Great job, fellas."
Yes, thank you, Chris, because I very much need the caffeine to be somewhat coherent. I probably start my day with a good 200 to 500 milligrams of caffeine through a coffee that I make at home and some energy drink juice that I have that's a little bit lighter. And then I move on to the energy drink that I sip during the show. And sometimes that energy drink is gone much sooner.
You know what they say about caffeine, right?
It's the most addictive drug in the world?
That's true. And also,
It's the cheapest drug there is.
Oh, is it? Well, I don't do enough drugs to know if caffeine is cheaper than other ones, but I can believe it.
yeah, you can get a cup of coffee for 99 cents at some places.
Oh, that's true. That's true. There's a place that has like a taco and a coffee for $5, and I need to probably hit them up a little bit more. You and I got some good breakfast tacos yesterday. And that is the other thing about doing the morning show. The last time I was on morning airwaves, I'm pretty sure I gained like, I don't even want to exaggerate, but something like 30 pounds in the 7 months that I was there. Yeah. I need to make sure that I keep my mindless calories out of the equation too. I wanted to stop by somewhere, and I wake up in the morning, I wanted to stop by somewhere just to grab a little food on the way. Luckily, my cutting it close kept me from getting those empty calories. And as I start talking, I start feeling a little less hungry, although the energy drink might be able to hide some of those symptoms of hunger as well. I did promise some Spurs talk, and LG, Game 6 in Minnesota doesn't feel like a must-win for the Spurs since they have that buffer of a Game 7 in San Antonio. I want to call it a must-win in the sense that, and it isn't a must-win, so I don't like using that phrase, but a must-win in the sense of you're thinking about your next series against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I do not know, and I don't think anybody knows exactly how the playoff schedule will shake out. Should San Antonio close out a Game 6 and the Pistons-Cavaliers series needs to go 7, will they then proceed to start the Western Conference Finals a little bit later so they can have the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals go back-to-back? ideally for just my personal schedule, since I'm scheduled to call the SAFC match on May 23rd. Hopefully it is a Wednesday, Friday series where the Spurs play Wednesday and Friday in the Western Conference Finals, and then that'll open up something else that I have a side gig on Thursday and on Saturday for the schedule to work out. But I want really just a little bit more rest for the Spurs, and I hope that comes in the form of the Spurs winning Game 6 and the NBA schedule sort of delaying the start of the conference finals in the West because the Cavaliers and the Pistons go 7. Is that asking for too much?
No, because I hope it does the exact same thing, because I am a part of some of these side gigs that you have scheduled for me. So I need the schedule to just fall into place around my side gigs so I can make sure I can watch the games and do all my duties at the games if it happens to be a home game here in San Antonio.
Yeah, good vibes going out to our schedules, hopefully aligning perfectly. That being said, the Spurs, assuming everybody's healthy, because Dylan Harper and De'Aaron Fox were both questionable going into Game 5 in San Antonio on Tuesday night. Hopefully these 2 days off have made things easier for San Antonio in terms of being able to just have nobody on the injury report as they've sort of been accustomed to. De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper both had great games after being questionable going into Game 5. I think Dylan Harper almost had sort of a putting the league on notice kind of game, even though it's not his best game. His 25 minutes, 12 points, 10 rebounds, and just big plays that he continues to make really stood out to a lot of people. And you were telling me that Reggie Miller was calling him Ron Harper Jr., his brother's name in Boston?
He was saying Harper Jr. You'd say, oh, what a move by Harper Jr. there. And multiple times, too.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer because Reggie's a veteran, and you got to put respect on Dylan Harper's name when he has a brother that he doesn't want to be confused with, I'm sure. But
yeah, who is Ron Harper Jr.
Yes.
It even says so on the jersey.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that Dylan Harper is going to be available because he almost is the sixth man for the Spurs. What the real sixth man, Keldon Johnson, had the finally big breakout game that we were expecting. 21 points in 22 minutes off the bench for the Spurs. And De'Aaron Fox, after being questionable, finished with 18 points in 34 minutes in that Game 5. And the Spurs are just so good that I don't want them to have to deal with a Game 7 against these Timberwolves. And I don't really see a way that Minnesota can force a Game 7 without Ant Edwards dropping 40.
Yeah, and it seems the Spurs have sort of figured out how to contain Ant the best you can. I mean, he had 20 points last game as opposed to, scoring almost 40 the past 2 games before that. And the double teams that they're throwing at him seems to be throwing off Minnesota's game completely. They had a bunch of shot clock violations, had an 8-second violation even in the last game. And, if they can't figure out how to work around the double team, then they're going to struggle in Game 6.
Later in the show, we might need to go over to Timberwolves Reddit and start to see some of the things they're saying about Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert because they do not seem to like those two players right now. Gobert had a great series against Denver, but there was absolutely no debate on Victor Wembanyama taking it right at Rudy Gobert and winning that matchup by a mile. The Timberwolves need that to be, it's not going to be close ever, but they need it to be a lot closer than it was in Game 5. Gobert only scores 4 points. He had some bad turnovers where he wasn't even catching the ball. He only grabbed 5 rebounds, only 1 block shot for Rudy Gobert. And then Julius Randle, he does finish with 17 points, but he's 0 for 4 from 3 and just isn't giving you the second best player minutes that you need to get out of Julius Randle. I think there were guys on the Reddit saying, go get Karl Anthony Towns back. Is that along those lines?
They're regretting the trade. They say, bring Cat back. He would have done a lot better. And they're like, oh, Cat's going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and Julius is not. They're already freaking out. So Julius has become the scapegoat for the Minnesota Timberwolves fans. Basically, kind of like how Spurs fans treat De'Aaron Fox when he doesn't perform to their expectations.
Yeah, Julius Randle really only had that first game one, which really did help them extend this series. If Julius Randle doesn't have the game one that he has, this series is already over, and San Antonio is preparing for Oklahoma City. I will say this. My algorithm is getting creepily good, LG. I saw a round trip, if I'm not mistaken, and it might look into it a little bit more. If it's not round trip, it's one way for not terribly priced either, to Oklahoma City. Show up on my feed. And it was $125, and I'm somewhat tempted.
Interesting. How far is that drive?
It is not a terrible drive. That's a good question. I would say a lot, 10 hours for it, just to make sure you get your stops and your food and you're recharging on that. And now that you have this, I'm just going to do some
7 hours and 20 minutes.
7 hours and 20 minutes. So yeah, like I said, a lot for about 10 hours. Feels about right to make that drive. Should we get a Spurs caravan up there? Is that something we should do? Can we sponsor some of that as soon as it becomes
talking
official?
like a party bus or something, or like a bunch of cars, like a caravan?
That would be fun. I feel like it. It's if we talk party bus and get those fuel inefficient vehicles, we would all really need to pitch in because price of gas is wild these days. But
that's true.
If you pay your own way up there, is let's say it is round trip $300 to go up to Oklahoma City. That's
doable.
That's
not
doable,
terrible.
And it's not wear and tear on your car. It's probably still about a 10-hour travel day.
You could also look at something like finding a cheap ticket to Dallas area and then driving from there, renting a car. Check out the price differential from going straight to Oklahoma City as opposed to flying to Dallas, because sometimes you can get cheap tickets to Dallas.
I get what you're saying, but then you got to pay for the rental
That's
car
true.
and. Yep. Then you got to do you still have to, it doesn't necessarily even save time because you probably have to go through all the airport security.
Well, yeah, that's why you have TSA pre-check.
Yeah, and I don't know. I probably could very easily reach out and get credentialed for Oklahoma City, but I don't know if I'm credentialed.
I bet you the Jackals are going to make the trip up there.
There you go. Let's talk
if the Spurs get to that point, I guarantee you some of the Jackals are going to make a trip up there.
Yeah, and they did a great job busing to Austin for the games at the Moody Center. So, yeah, you bring up, there you go. After all of this on-air conversation, figure out how we're going to support the Spurs. We also got to get into the game. I'm sure that is, I don't think I say this lightly, but I do say this accurately. The Western Conference Finals have to be the biggest thing happening in Oklahoma in the entire month of May. Is there anything bigger happening in Oklahoma in May?
I couldn't tell you, but they got the Riverwalk up there.
But
so.
the Riverwalk that's like a block
long. The
yeah.
Riverwalk Mini.
No. Why are they called Bricktown? Is that something that Oklahoma City's called? Is there a brick?
Bricktown is the area that it's kind of like around the Riverwalk. That's like their little entertainment district. But apparently nobody who lives in Oklahoma City goes there. It's just like a tourist trap. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to Oklahoma City just driving through it on my way to Omaha, Nebraska with my dad for the College World Series 2012, I believe it was, because Oklahoma City was in the NBA Finals against the Heat, and they had just knocked off the Spurs. So my dad and I were just, I guess, doing a trip that the Spurs weren't in the NBA Finals, and he always wanted to do the trip to Omaha. So we drove on up to Omaha, and we drove right through Oklahoma City. We were in Oklahoma City for, I want to say, Game 4 of that series, and James Harden, who had just torched the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals, proceeded to do nothing and drop eggs against the Miami Heat. It was infuriating to watch because guy goes off against the Spurs, doesn't do anything against the Heat. You were hoping that he would at least represent a little bit better, but unfortunate that the Spurs were not there in the 2012 finals. Just because, if you remember, Serge Ibaka also went off. I want to say James Harden and Serge Ibaka combined for like 22 of 22 or something like that from the field in the last 2 games to close out that series in 6 in 2012. Let's not talk bad memories. Let's talk about good memories. Spurs, Game 6 tomorrow night. It'll be around 8:45 start as the Spurs have to wait for the end of the Pistons and Cavaliers Game 6. Like I said, once again, I think we're pulling for the Pistons to force Game 7 there to maybe elongate the rest for the Spurs and the Timberwolves. And once the Spurs have their schedule set, once the Spurs win that game in Game 6 and knock off the Timberwolves, we will know the schedule for the Western Conference Finals. And again, please send us some good vibes that all of that meshes out. And who knows, maybe we take this show on the road and we do the starting lineup live from Oklahoma City. Definitely more Spurs talk later on. I want to talk on why the new system that the NBA is playing around with for the draft lottery is not necessarily good for the Spurs. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's not something the Spurs really have to worry about with their own picks, but they do have several assets that could come into play there. The NCAA wants to shake things up in both baseball and football, and we do want to touch a little bit on the 85 new players at Oklahoma State, just to touch on the state of college football, because it is a wild west out there. And talking about things happening in Oklahoma, man, May is a big month for Eric Morris and Oklahoma State. Get into all of that here on the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
On May 14, 2014, the Spurs ousted the Portland Trailblazers 104-82 at the Frost Bank Center to win their best-of-7 Western Conference semifinals 4-1 and advance to the Western Conference Finals for the 3rd consecutive season. Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard each scored 22 points, while Patty Mills chipped in 18 off the bench. Tim Duncan added 16 points and 8 rebounds. The Spurs as a team had a playoff-high 48 fast break points to earn the win. That's today's Spurs Flashback. I'm Dan White.
Spurs family, the lights drop, a deafening roar rushes over you. The silver screen awakens. Turn your life script into an epic movie with our 2025-26 ticket membership presented by RBFCU. Built-in flexibility, members-only events, fan shop discounts, and a guaranteed seat to pure cinema. Reserve your memories today. Text SPURS to 210-444-5940 or visit spurs.com/memberships for more info. Season presented by HEB.
Creating content to promote your brand is a 24/7 hustle these days. If you're looking for someone to professionally provide videos, photos, and more, reach out for a free consultation. Hi, I'm Karl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of the starting lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer professional live streaming, podcast recording, photos, videos, social media strategy, and more. To learn more, shoot me an email at karlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirKarl. That's Karl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings. Trust, price, and ease of transaction. That is GiveMeTheVin.com. We love to buy cars, and you're going to love GiveMeTheVin.com.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
For more information about contests on this station, go to ticket760.com/rules.
Hello, I'm Ozempic. And I'm other GLP-1s, kind of like him. Hey, are you shaking a maraca?
No, I'm shaking the pill version of Ozempic, which no one should ever do except in ads like this.
A nice disclaimer.
Hey, thanks. Ask your doctor about which FDA-approved uses of the Ozempic pen or pill may be right for you. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and learn more about Ozempic semaglutide tablets, 9 milligrams, and Ozempic semaglutide injection, 2 milligrams.
There's a pill version of Ozempic.
Okay, red jelly flats at $29.99. Cute summer dresses, $49.99. Beach towels under $20? I'm doing the math in my head and it's not mathing in a good way. And because it's Star Money bonus days, I'm earning faster on all of it. 3 bags, 2 hands, 1 very good day. The Macy's One Day Sale. Star Rewards members earn faster during Star Money bonus days. Tomorrow. Savings off select prices. Exclusions apply.
Summer is on its way, and it's going to be super hot again. You can count on that. If your air conditioning system isn't up to par, or if you need a new one, it's time to call Manuel & Sons. At Manuel & Sons, right now, you can get a 1.5 to 5-ton Frederick 15-seater for just $77.95. Need a spring tune-up? Right now, only $89. Certified technicians, local company, someone actually answers the phone. If your system is struggling, call today, 549-4839, 549-4839, manuelandsons.com.
Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included, content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
The takes are hot, even before the sun comes out. Back to the starting lineup.
Yes, sir, the sun is rising in San Antonio. There was a beautiful crescent moon this morning. If you got a chance to see that on your drive in, maybe it's a good omen to start your day. I'm Karl Schoening, your host. And it's been a bit of a hazy morning. This is, I'll admit, I'm just not as sharp as I usually am. I stayed up late to watch that overtime game between the Cavaliers and the Pistons, and I think just overall the random shell shock to my sleep schedule, along with some injuries that I'm dealing with that have kept me from working out the way I would like to, are certainly throwing off my balance. In the starting lineup with me today, LG, making sure we look good on YouTube, sound good over the radio airwaves. LG, I need you just sort of answer this question off the top of your head. I'm throwing this at you unplanned.
On the spot.
On the spot. How many teams should be in the college football playoff?
I don't know.
So
how many are in there currently?
Well, they started with 4. 4 was the original projection from 2014 to 2023.
Okay.
And they're currently at a 12-team playoff that expanded in 2024, and it looks like this will run through 2027.
Let's do 16 so we can have another Sweet 16.
So 16 is what the SEC wants to expand to, because the SEC always has a team that seems to be left out, even in this 12 format. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips has backed a 24-team expanded college football playoffs as he submitted this Wednesday, a move supported by the majority of the league's coaches and athletic directors. The Big Ten initially proposed the 24-team model, and it's starting to gain traction as discussions about expanding the playoff have moved forward, though there was no consensus on an expanded playoff field when college football spring meetings concluded last month. And Jim Phillips believes that greater access to the playoff is vital for the long term. 24 teams is a lot. They have to figure out all the logistics. There's going to be several buys for those teams that have gotten, so well. But like, I have issues with all of the buys that you probably have for those teams that are probably in the top 4, because not playing football for 2 or 3 weeks will throw you off your rhythm. Sure, you might get a cupcake in your first round, but 24 teams, there are not 24 teams that can, in the college football world, that can rank up to a potential championship contender. There's such a big gap between the teams in the top 10, top 12, and those fringe top 25 teams. And it almost seems like the big power conferences are just finding ways to get their big teams into this 24 team field, and it's going to leave out the best teams in the other conferences, most likely. It's not like, let's go ahead and use the American, for example. It's not like the American is going to get 2 teams in the college football playoff. If you get to a 24-team expansion, then you pretty much need to guarantee anybody in the group of 5 and the Power 4 that win their conference championship deserves to be in the college football playoffs. No questions asked. Would love it if this were a 24-team field that sort of allows a UTSA to not win the American but get into the college football playoff. It just also doesn't seem right, because even if UTSA is the second best team in the American, there's no way that they should be in a 24-team field. So then you start to wonder, at what point is it like a 9-3 Auburn team that makes it into the college football playoff? Where is there a line that's drawn where you say, hey, a 9-4 SEC team deserves it over a one-loss UTSA team? And maybe it's a crazy year where there's another team that goes undefeated in the American, and then you're talking about, is there SEC bias? Of course there is. And I don't know where this goes. 24 teams seems like a lot, but it also seems the direction we're heading. And I'm not 100% sure where this will end up. Just like the 76-team field of the NCAA basketball tournaments, I will be keeping an eye on this, because you do have teams that feel like they get snubbed. It's just going to happen in a 12-team format. 16, like you said, seems like the sweet spot, Sweet 16 for the college football playoff. That's what the SEC would like, and that seems a little bit more reasonable. But 24 teams, you're just getting into teams that have no business contending for a championship. The only reason I'm kind of for that is because we've eliminated the value of the bowl games. So the postseason for the NCAA needs to have a little bit more incentive for teams that are probably going to split up their separate ways at the end of the season, to at least get some of these good teams to, I guess, be featured a little bit more. But like we talked about with Oklahoma State having 85 new players, a bowl game doesn't mean that much, and you're not sure what it even means anymore these days. It's a big deal in previous years. It's a big deal for some fan bases just to sort of celebrate, but I don't think that the bowl season means quite what it used to mean before the 4-team college football playoff. And now in this transfer portal era, you're talking about guys that are looking for their future, so they're already gone by the time the bowl game comes up. They're transferred out, or they're declaring to enter the transfer portal, so they're not going to play in what essentially equates to a meaningless game. And then you're just sort of looking at a glorified spring game almost with these bowl games. So a 24 college football playoff team field would be, I guess, interesting enough, but I like what you said, and so does the SEC. 16 feels like a sweet spot, and if you're not in the 16-team playoff, then you don't deserve to be in the conversation for a national championship. Of course, everyone's going to feel snubbed, even if there are going to be people who feel snubbed, even if there's 24 teams, but that feels excessive, and I think that that'll be just fine if they go with 16, and more games means more money. So at the end of the day, 24 teams is probably going to prevail, but I just don't want it to be half of the SEC going up against half of the Big Ten, and then next thing you know, there are people who are left out, LG. It just doesn't feel like, even if those teams that are left out don't really deserve to go up against the mighty SEC, that's how it should go. And college football in general has been heading towards this, should the Power Four separate and become their own, I guess, Division I, and then there's a new Division I of the other teams. And I'm actually very much in favor of relegation in college football, because relegation should almost be determined based off of your salary cap. You're going to have such turnover on all these teams that 85 new players for Oklahoma State, like I've been talking about, could actually turn Oklahoma State around in one season, right? You're just plugging and playing guys, and next thing you know, you say, we're just going to bring in as many good players as we can. Eric Morse brings in a lot of players from North Texas, and next thing you know, the Oklahoma State Cowboys could be the best team in the Big 12. How many teams are in the Big 12 now? All this conference realignment has also thrown me off. And then you have to look at Is the Pac-12 going to go back to being a power conference? Probably not. But do they have sort of more reason to say that our second best team deserves to be in the 16 or 24 team playoff than the American Conference second best team? Possibly. Do the second best team in either of those conferences deserve to stack up against the fifth best SEC team? Probably not. And a lot of that comes down to just salaries. You're talking about the pay-for-play era where you're probably getting $500,000 to be a backup quarterback on an SEC team, and $500,000 is easily the budget for a lot of these maybe lower-end schools that don't have the donor base that those SEC schools do. So it's pay-for-play era, and an expanded playoff makes a lot of sense for teams that are looking to recoup some of that money on the roster that they spent. I'm of the mindset that the ACC and Big Ten are going to get their wish of a 2014 playoff just because ka-ching, ka-ching, more money. You got that sound drop for me, LG? There it is. Yeah, cash register. That's what drives college sports these days. All right. Hour one wraps up on the starting lineup. When we come back, I want to touch on the new draft lottery reform that may or may not happen in the NBA and how that affects the Spurs and the assets that they hold. Next on the starting lineup.
If you're not digging the content you created on your phone, maybe it's time to upgrade to a content specialist who can make your video sharp and your audio clear. Hi, I'm Karl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of The Starting Lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer social media content creation to help your brand grow online using professional photo, video, and audio equipment. To learn more, shoot me an email at karlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirKarl. That's Karl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
There's another one and another one.
Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by War Chief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving Govasell the Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the War Chief. And as always, go Spurs go.
Almost 90 years ago, Academy Sports and Outdoors was born right here in Texas. So we know a thing or two about a thing or two. Like beans don't belong in Chile. It's called a feeder road. And how far really means how long. We've been your neighbor for generations. That's why we're adding Texas-sized deals across the store, only in Texas. If you happen to find a better price at a competitor, we'll beat it by 5%. Academy. Fun can't lose.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus Nicotine Pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Proud to make Pops proud. Proud to be Proud Pops.
I'm Brandon Rackler, co-founder of Proud Pops Plumbing, Air, and Electric.
And I'm Jacob Magby, the other co-founder and also co-brother.
With air conditioning season here already, homeowners are wondering if that old AC that barely made it through last summer is ready to handle this summer.
But no one wants to buy a new AC if the old one can be fixed up. Good as new.
As Pops used to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
To be fair, quite a lot of people say that.
Yeah, but when Pops said it, he meant don't pressure people into an expensive replacement when the AC they have still has a few good years left in the hands of the right serviceman.
Call Proud Pops and we'll assess the situation and give you a Pops proof report with a plethora of pictures that clearly show what needs to be done.
As Pops used to say, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Literally everyone says a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Proud to make Pops proud. Proud to be Proud Pops.
Give us a call and we'll pop in.
Visit proudpops.com.
For over 25 years, BetOnline has been one of the most trusted names in online casino gaming. From the hottest slots and massive jackpots to all your favorite live table games, blackjack, poker, and more. Whatever your game, BetOnline Casino puts it all right at your fingertips. After your first deposit, unlock exclusive VIP rewards, level up bonuses, and cash boosts. Enjoy the freedom of online gaming where the action moves with you and every moment is yours. BetOnline. Bet on.
Skip this. Tap that red talkback mic on the iHeartRadio app while listening to your favorite station. You guys rock. Instant feedback. And the best feature, if you mess up,
hopefully I'm sending these messages correctly.
Do it again. Leave a talkback now on the free iHeartRadio app.
This is the year you finally get the yard you deserve. I'm talking tropical retreat, outdoor hangout, the place everyone wants to be. Moon Valley Nurseries does it all. Design, delivery, and they'll even plant for free. Not to mention, they can transform your entire yard in as little as 1 day.
1 day?
Yeah, 1 day. Your new favorite room? Maybe outside, and it's closer than you think. So if you're ready to enjoy your yard before summer, call Moon Valley Nurseries or go online today to get started.
Hey, San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned in to Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Your morning drive, your morning takes. Back to the starting lineup.
This is the starting lineup on Ticket 760. I'm your host, Karl Schoening, and man, I talked a little too long in the last segment about the NCAA reforming their college football playoff, and I did talk a little bit too long about Spurs in the second segment. My time management is terrible. I do want to touch on the new NBA draft lottery reform, but I don't have as much time to go into that one. I did want to update a little bit on what is going on in the story that I've sort of been talking about on and off all morning, and I didn't realize what a big article this was. I just saw a headline about Oklahoma State having 85 new players, and it's just one of those things where this is college football in its newest form that I don't really like. And there's exciting parts about it, and there's not exciting parts about it, such as the non-exciting part is, who are these people? You don't grow up, you don't get to watch these guys develop and say, man, that sophomore, I'm excited about him. I can't wait to see him the next 2 years because he has a big season, and next thing you know, he's off to a bigger school or a team that'll pay him more. College football needs to get it checked out, but Eric Morris, he is somebody who developed this Drew Metzmaker guy as somebody who's a great quarterback. Last year, with the Mean Green up there in North Texas, he threw for 34 touchdowns, 9 INTs, and 4,375 yards with a QBR of 24th ranked in the NCAA, just under 75. He's from Austin, Texas, and he is the prized quarterback. He could be going to Oklahoma State. He could be going to Oregon, but he's not staying at North Texas. And let me see, he's classified as a freshman, so I'm going to say that this is going into his sophomore year. I couldn't imagine having somebody go off for all those numbers at North Texas thinking, wow, we're going to have perhaps the all-time greatest quarterback of our college football, I guess, history for North Texas. I don't know North Texas football history, but I'm going to guess that this guy is up there among the best freshman performance seasons that you can imagine for North Texas. And his coach leaves, he might leave, and now where's North Texas after all of this? A lot of their players move on over to Oklahoma State, maybe including this Metzmaker guy. So I'm not a big fan of the transfer portal era. It's just where we are, and I feel for North Texas. I think that Oklahoma State can turn it around because, hey, 85 new guys. They were the bottom feeders in the Big 12 last year, and you bring in a whole new roster, you could be the top team And that's where we also need to eliminate preseason polls. No need to really try and figure out how these new teams are going to mesh together. Good and bad. You see what G.J. Kenny's done at Texas State. He essentially brought all of the guys from UIW to Texas State, the team at UIW that almost went to the national championship game at the FCS level. He developed those guys, and they are FBS players. And since then, G.J. Kenny's turned around Texas State by making a bowl game for 3 consecutive years with 3 different starting quarterbacks. So just the transfer portal world, that would be awesome if Texas State had 3 straight years of the same quarterback. They don't. They have 3 straight years of different quarterbacks, and they have their best successful 3 years in their program's FBS history. I don't know. It's a little weird, this world of college football we live in. But, I just talk about it. And I can't do anything about it. But I do want to talk about some other things that are interesting to me, including some new draft lottery reform rules that could affect the Spurs, not necessarily their draft picks, but the draft picks they own, when we come back on the starting lineup for Hour 2.
Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included, content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Hunting, fishing, real country music, vegans? Cable Smith reminding you to get your butt by the dial Saturday mornings from 7 to 8. It's the Lone Star Outdoor Show right here on Ticket 760.
Got a DWI? Don't wait. What you do next matters. Not all classes are accepted by Texas courts. Before you pay, make sure it's state approved and live. Alamo Center has helped Texans for over 30 years complete their court-ordered DWI and drug education classes live and instructor-led. No pre-recorded videos. Real instructors, real support. Classes fill up fast. Secure your spot today. Speak to a live person now. Call 210-824-5537 or visit alamocenter.org. Alamo Center. The road back starts here.
This is the month to get a Kia from World Car Kia. And if you have a trade-in, we'd like to buy it, no matter the condition or what you owe. Get 0% financing on new 2026 Kia Sportages and 0% on Sorrentos too. Get $2,000 customer cash on 2025 Tellurides. Get savings on new Kias all this month. And at World Car Kia, every new vehicle comes with a lifetime warranty and lifetime roadside assistance. Visit our new store at Kia South or any of our stores in San Antonio or New Braunfels and save. Kia. World Car Kia.
With approved credit through KMF.
In this edition of the Marketer's Report, Monica Tam, head of brand media for DoorDash, discusses the power of audio influencers.
I think when you're tapping into voices like hosts and podcasters, you're being able to be part of that community, but in a very authentic way.
As the #1 audio company, iHeartMedia connects marketers to the audiences, live conversations, and trusted influencers you need to grow. If you're a marketer, go to iHeartAdvertising.com.
Pantalones Organic Tequila. Because tequila is fun. Pantalones.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now. Like the Beatles Now and Then, celebrating all things Beatles.
Come together, you say goodbye, and I say hello.
Legendary clips, deep cuts, live performances, and all their solo hits. Just open the free iHeartRadio app and search the Beatles Now and Then and listen now. iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
iHeartRadio.
This is Ticket 760, KTKR San Antonio, your home for sports. Guaranteed human. Make us the #1 preset in your car and on the free new and improved iHeartRadio app. This is the starting lineup. Here's your host, Karl Schoening.
Welcome into Hour 2 of the starting lineup. I'm your host, Karl Schoening, and starting out the voice coming through your speakers, making sure that this voice sounds good on the airwaves of radio and looks good on the internet frequencies of YouTube is our producer, LG. LG, say what's up to the people.
What's up, people? LG210, you can follow me on Twitter. We got some chats up in here.
Oh, yes, please. We love to interact with people.
Yeah, Hanover Fist 1 is up in the super chat at Starting Lineup Live on YouTube. He says, I like how Karl talks with his hands. I'd be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I can't really control it.
I feel like if you don't do some kind of movements with your hands, it's kind of unnatural looking, you know?
I'm happy I can grab the microphone. You have some really nice mic arms here in Studio LG, so it does give my hands something to do. I just need to make sure I don't accidentally unplug the microphone.
Yep. Jason Lasay's in here. He says, good morning, fellas. What is your prediction for the game tonight? Well, there is no game tonight. Which game are you talking about? NBA is off tonight.
I know, and that threw me off too, because I admit I just take everything a day at a time at this point in my life. I am not sure what I'm doing by the end of the week. I kind of know if I have something on my schedule next week or 2 weeks from now, just to kind of have some mental preparation. But for whatever reason, I was just of the thought process that the Spurs and the Timberwolves were playing every other day until Game 7, and there was a 2-day off break. But the 2-day off break is between 5 and 6. So the Spurs play tomorrow night.
That's true. And
if NHL, maybe are there hockey games going on? I don't know.
Well, there's some kind of game going on.
I imagine he's talking Spurs, because we talk Spurs a lot on this show. And I wish there was a Spurs game tonight. That would be...
Well, this is the first time in a long time that there hasn't been any NBA action on a day. They haven't taken a day off for NBA games since the playoffs started.
Probably since the playoffs started. This is the first time without an NBA game. You're right. Since the end of the regular season. And obviously there's a gap between game 81 and 82. There's a day off there for teams to travel from game 81 to 82. That's something that Adam Silver has done that I like. Are we caught up on all the chats interactions?
We are, yes.
Yeah, congratulations to everybody for getting your shout out on the radio. We hope that you can continue to interact with us, even if you haven't interacted with us before. We don't bite, but... I like a lot of things that Adam Silver has done in terms of restructuring the NBA. NBA Cup, I think that's a hit. The play-in tournament, I think that's a hit. I like the play-in tournament because it makes those teams that would have been eliminated from the playoffs in the old format of only 1 through 8 seeds. You have these teams that are fighting for the 9 and the 10. And if you're on the outside looking in at 11, you feel like you can kind of get in there probably. But on the other side of that, if you weren't even in the conversation for a play-in team, you sort of feel like you need to just tank. And something that I didn't really touch on to this point of the show because it was in the regular season and we didn't have the show going in the regular season, is that a good third of the NBA was trying to just lose games, and it wasn't good for business. And it was good for other teams like the Atlanta Hawks, who saw all these teams that were tanking, and that ended up hurting the Spurs because the Spurs own the Atlanta Hawks pick with the right to swap. So San Antonio will be drafting 20 in this year's draft, and the Hawks will be drafting 29th. So both teams get to keep their pick, but the Spurs will be drafting where the Hawks would draft, as the Hawks will draft where the Spurs will draft as part of the DeJounte Murray trade. So Adam Silver, and it's kind of gotten out through Shams Charania, is trying to change the thought process of the point of tanking, if you will. So Adam Silver was on Stephen A. Smith's radio show Wednesday, and this is a proposal that the league's board of governors will talk about a little later this month to change up the draft lottery and intent to curb tanking. And here's a quote from Adam Silver. What we've essentially done is we have a proposal that we're going to be bringing back to our team owners at the end of May, and it's to create essentially a system of flat odds so that you have no particular incentive to be bad. There's even something we're calling draft relegation, that if you're one of the bottom 3 teams in the league, you'll actually have worse odds than the teams that are sort of 4 through until teams make the playoffs. And we're still playing it with a little bit in the system there. So the system is basically saying if you have the worst 3 records in the league, it actually hurts your draft lottery chances than a team that is 4 through 10. And then the from that point on, 20 teams make the quote-unquote playoffs, even though the play-in is not the playoffs. 10 teams from each conference make the postseason of some kind. So this is sort of a way to eliminate teams from having the incentive of just trying to get as many losses as possible. I like the idea. However, this might hurt the Spurs because San Antonio, they're not going, assuming everybody stays healthy, and knock on wood, San Antonio is going to be a contender for a long time with the young talent that they have. However, they, in 2027, own Atlanta's pick outright. So let's say something goes terribly wrong with Atlanta. They were exposed against the Knicks in that final game where it felt like they were down 100 points at the half. And let's say Atlanta just, I'm not cheering for injuries or anything, but they maybe don't have the season that they hope to build on like they did this year. And Atlanta ends up with a bottom 3 pick, and the Spurs own that pick outright. That sort of hurts the Spurs. The Spurs also, talking in 2028, have the right to swap picks with Boston from the Derek White trade. That is top 1 protected. So if that pick falls number 1, then it goes to Boston. If it's 2 through anywhere that the Spurs are, like the Celtics, I imagine in 2028 will be worse than the Spurs if the Spurs continue to, build around Wemby and this young core continues to improve their chemistry together. And let's say Boston is just heading for a big rebuild with all these issues that they have with the Jays, whether or not they're going to trade Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum or maybe make a move for Giannis. Who knows what the Celtics are going to look like in 2028. If all of a sudden the Celtics are a bottom 3 team and the Spurs have that swap, then we're talking about the lottery odds not being in favor of San Antonio there. And the Spurs do own their own 2029 pick. I know there's some Timberwolves picks from the 8th overall pick that the Spurs traded a couple years ago. Oh, this is a fun one. 2030. The Spurs have the right to swap with Dallas or Minnesota thanks to that 8th overall pick that I was talking about. And pop quiz, I'm not going to throw a curveball at you. Pop quiz for you in the car or listening wherever you might be listening. We own Dallas's unprotected 2030 pick swap. That comes from the Reggie Bullock trade. The Spurs essentially were just moving players around. Dallas ended up getting Grant Williams. So Brian Wright was able to swindle away an unprotected swap pick swap from Dallas for essentially taking on Reggie Bullock's contract. He doesn't play for the Spurs. He ends up getting waived, and Grant Williams, who was the main factor driving into that trade for Dallas, ends up only being there like 6 months. I want to say that he was involved in the Daniel Gafford trade to Washington later on. So what a move there by Brian Wright, but also he picks up the opportunity to swap with Minnesota. So whichever pick is worse in 2030, the Spurs will have a chance to draft in place of Minnesota or Dallas. They don't own either of those picks, but say the Spurs are, again, one of the top 5 teams and Minnesota or Dallas are in the bottom 3, then that hurts the Spurs' odds, and it might even be better in that particular case that they own 2 opportunities to swap. It'll just be whichever pick is more favorable in 2030. And then the Spurs also have the right to swap with Sacramento in 2031 thanks to the Harrison Barnes trade. So if you remember, Harrison Barnes was essentially just absorbed into the Spurs salary cap. Once the Spurs traded that 8th overall pick in the draft last year, which ended up being Rob Dillingham to Minnesota, who is also no longer on Minnesota's roster, much like Grant Williams with Dallas, the Spurs will have a chance. They were able to, based off of not drafting 8th overall, absorb Harrison Barnes, who ended up being a good veteran player for them and is still a good veteran player for the Spurs. So on top of that, Sacramento, to make that move to where they were able to acquire DeMar DeRozan, gave the Spurs a pick swap. And it seems unprotected based off what I'm looking at here at Fanspo. I believe it's unprotected in 2031. So again, these flattened odds that the Spurs have from that the Spurs will possibly have to deal with, not from their own picks, from the assets that they owned. I don't really like the flattened odds from that stance, because then you're talking about teams, these players on the court probably don't really care about the draft prospect that may or may not be coming in for their job. You know, some of these guys would love a higher draft pick if they know that it's a lost season. But I do like the idea. Points for creativity, NBA. LG, do you have any thoughts on this, where you're talking about essentially creating some incentive to not be a bottom 3 team? I like it, but it does. If you're going to do that, I almost feel like if you're just not a playoff team, everybody has the same odds, whether you were just missing out on the play-in or the worst team in the league. I don't think that it's necessarily something that you can say is fair. If you're going to say bottom 3 teams have worse odds of getting the first overall pick, you might as well just flatten it all out evenly.
I understand where the league is coming from for wanting to do this, because you have teams that are, sitting their star players because they want to lose games. And, the Spurs have actually been fined for doing that, as they call it minutes management. But as a fan, especially if you're traveling from like out of town or out of the country to a game, and you get there and all the star players are benched because they're tanking, they're trying to get better odds for the lottery balls. I feel like it's a disservice to the fans, but on the other hand, the diehard fans are looking at it like, yes, tank so we can get the lottery balls. So it's like, it's a give or take there. It's very hard to balance that out, and I understand where they're coming from wanting to improve it. And you don't want to lose money because fans aren't going to games because the team is tanking. But then again, the fans want the team to be better in the future, but they're looking at the now, and the league's looking at the now and the dollar signs. And I do understand where they're coming from. It is a business after all.
So let's. You're right. Everything you said there is accurate. It's one of those things, like, let's look at it from the Mavericks' perspective, right? They would like to get a running mate for Cooper Flagg, and they had a terrible season. They end up trading Anthony Davis. Cooper Flagg's the only real sort of silver lining of the Luka Doncic trade, and that was just pure lottery luck. And I don't know exactly where Dallas was in the draft lottery, but they weren't a bottom team when they traded Luka. They were having a decent enough season. They had just gone to the finals like 9 months earlier. They had made moves for Klay Thompson to play next to Kyrie and Luka. So the Mavericks, they just had that weird shakeup, and Nico Harrison ended up getting, run out of town because they had to save face. And then, Anthony Davis, he goes off and starts hosting his own reality TV show while the playoffs are going on. So the Mavericks just decided to cut face with him and, cut their losses and trade him to Washington. But if it came down to Game 82 and the Mavericks were the third worst team in the NBA, and if they won, they would end up having better odds, I guess mission accomplished to what the NBA is trying to do here. But I don't necessarily think it's fair for teams that own all of these other assets, and then now you have to look at those kinds of things where, if, again, going back to, say, Atlanta just has a bad season and the Spurs own their pick outright, there's no incentive for Atlanta to try and make their way out of the bottom 3 because the Spurs own their pick. And that is ultimately to the detriment of the Spurs, who made a very savvy move to own that pick outright, in which case, I think that it's a little unfair to those teams because it goes all around. And I think there's a few other things that they want to do in terms of getting rid of pick swaps and maybe protections. So I'm curious what ends up happening, and we will, of course, be keeping an eye on that once it becomes official, because the draft lottery is such a big deal to how the Spurs have built their roster. But one of the other things that they saw is the Spurs are probably the reason for this. No 3 consecutive years can any team have a top 5 pick. The Spurs got Wemby, Steph Castle, Dylan Harper. Under the new rules, that would not be the case. And I think that the Spurs are sort of lucky that this draft reform is happening after. The Spurs only tanked for one season. The season they decided to get rid of DeJounte Murray and before that, like 6 months earlier, trade Derek White, 2 really good borderline all-star players that were just not going to lead the franchise to the promised land like Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs essentially have one season where they go for Victor Wembanyama. Turned out to be the best choice that they could make. I think the Spurs were taken very seriously with Wemby. Teams sort of had a target on the Spurs' back to make sure that Wemby doesn't show them up. He still showed them up, but as a team, the Spurs had plenty of roster reconstruction that needed to be done, so they proceeded to get the 4th overall pick. Steph Castle comes into play. That same season, the Spurs trade for, Chris Paul. Chris Paul was on that team. De'Aaron Fox, and then next thing you know, the Spurs have all of their injuries that lead to D. Fox and Victor Wembanyama not playing the rest of the season. They luck in the lottery and get the number 2 overall pick. That would not be something that would happen in future draft rules, but all of a sudden, 3 straight years of top 5 picks, couple savvy signings and trades, and the Spurs are contenders. It can happen that quickly if you're lucky enough to draft an alien. Something I'm curious about, and it's just my 2 cents on the way that the new draft lottery reform is looking. Don't 100% agree with it, partly because the Spurs have done a great job collecting assets over the years. Starting lineup rolls on. We have a new sponsor. Want to give a shout out to Swish. Also want to give out to a shout out to Kid to Kid Hebner Road. They'll be joining the ad rollout next week, and plenty more here on the starting lineup as we talk Spurs, we talk NBA, and we talk all the other various headlines happening in the world of sports here on Ticket 760. Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by Warchief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving Govasell the Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the Warchief. And as always, go Spurs go. Hey San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned in to Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Have you purchased your Connecticut quality water softener yet? If not, what are you waiting for? You need to take advantage of this great offer right now. Interest-free financing for 12 months and a free reverse osmosis system. So you don't have to pay any interest for a year, and you get great tasting water right there at your kitchen sink. Have you ever opened up the dishwasher and seen a lot of spots and looking like your dishes aren't that clean? That is hard water. Same can go for your clothes when they come out of the washing machine. Same can come for yourself when you get out of the shower. And the money that you spend on a Connecticut quality water softener, you're likely going to save because you're not going to have repair bills trying to fix or replace your appliances, and you're not going to have to call a plumber all the time because of all that bad water going through your pipes. It's an amazing offer. Interest-free financing for 12 months, a free reverse osmosis system. When you purchase a Connecticut quality water softener, it's the best and last water softener you're ever going to own. Call them today at 656-PURE, 656-7873. Love your water. Get a Connecticut quality water softener, ConnecticutSA.com.
When it comes to results, the numbers speak for themselves. Thomas J. Henry secured over $1 billion for clients in the past 4 years and successfully represented thousands of injured Texans. Thomas J. Henry, the name you know, the firm you trust. San Antonio, Texas.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus nicotine pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Stop dreaming and start fishing. Memorial Weekend to Labor Day. Fish all summer with the CCA Star Tournament. Reel in one of over $2 million in prizes and scholarships. Catch a tagged redfish to win a Ford F-150 truck and boat package. 10 divisions in all. Real people win real prizes. Sponsored by Texas Ford Dealers, Academy Sports and Outdoors, and Progressive Insurance, Showwater Boats, Mustang Cat, and ABC 13. Sign up at startournament.org. Sign up now.
Hello, I'm Robert Smigel. I did lots of things. Cartoons on SNL, Conan stuff, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, some movies. But now I'm past my peak. So I'm hosting a podcast, Humor Me with Robert Smigel and Friends. Each week, me and my favorite comedians, writers, and whatnots help regular people just like you, presuming you're regular, who have some project or task that they'd like us to help make funnier.
Search Humor Me on iHeartRadio, America's #1 podcast network, and the Webby Podcast Company of the Year.
Phone's blowing up, but you're in the driver's seat. Ignore the buzz, keep your eyes on the street. No text back, no scroll, just let it wait. Attention on the road, that's the only way. Phone's blowing up, but you're in the driver's seat. Ignore the buzz, keep your eyes on the street. No text back, no scroll, just let it wait.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
No B team here. This is the starting lineup with Karl Schoening.
Welcome into the starting lineup. I'm your host, Karl Schoening. You can reach out to me on Instagram and Twitter at OnAirKarl. That is Karl with a K. And you can reach out to our producer at DJLG210. LG, how else can they get involved with the show?
You can hit us up on all our social medias at Starting Lineup Live. You can jump into the chat here on YouTube. We are live streaming every time we do this show at Starting Lineup Live on YouTube. And we've had a few chats already up in here today. It's been mostly Spurs stuff, of course.
Yeah, and we talk a lot of Spurs on here. And one of our sponsors, you probably heard the ad, is a new song by the War Chief called Swish. And I really dig this song, and I wanted to play it for you guys in its entirety because it's a good song and kind of get hype for tomorrow night's Game 6. So it's streaming on all platforms. We're going to air it right here, right now, here in the second segment of Hour 2 of the starting lineup. Go ahead and turn those speakers up here for Swish, Go Spurs Go by the War Chief.
There's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. Hands up, let's chill. See, it's a new year. The season finally started, and the Spurs kicked it in the gear. Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving Govasel the Barnes as they beat the shot clock. Let the crowd come alive when they see our starting five. Take notes on how we strive, making opponents running high. Driving hard to the rim, leaving defenders. This shot put back, dunking on your head is hell. Wearing silver and black, the league know that we the freshest. For hating on that say, you can go and find an expert. Fans show support and we can't be stopped. We'll forever have love for Coach Pop. Go Spurs, go! There's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one.
I'm 44 like Iceman, I twist my dreads like Timmy. Avery Johnson, the little general, bet y'all don't remember when John Lucas was a coach from 92 to 94. 2002, we got that Manu Ginobili. Can't forget the T. Parker, Big 5-0, Admiral, David Robinson, throwback 4 jersey, Danny Green, San Antonio, Texas, and the Spurs, my team. And you can catch me courtside, ballin' in the arena, swinging downtown, and you know what that means, and that's a switch. There's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one.
We the city, ain't no rookies, we the oldest.
noticed. I pulled up tipping fofos, Iceman, cause we the coldest. Area 51, yeah, we got Wemby, we got Castle. Hitting record triple doubles, they gon' do it with no hassle. Bucket after bucket, hitting 3, shout out to Harper. Number 2, but he the one, can't name nobody sharper. I'm a boss, I call the shot, something like Coach Mitch. Forever reppin' San Antonio, and I ain't ever gon' switch. I said switch, there's another one, man, look at him go. Hear me yell it from the tower, baby, go Spurs go. Switch, there's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one.
I am a sucker for horns and spurs in my hip-hop music, and that is certainly a song that gets me hype.
That's one of the best Spurs-themed songs that I've heard in a long time. Probably the best one.
I love it. It kind of pays homage to some of the older players. It talks about this season, you know.
They said John Lucas, the coach?
Yeah.
I don't even remember those days.
I was
throwing it back.
I was hardly born back then. So, yeah, it was the early 90s. And the Devin Vassell beating the shot clock line was kind of perfect for the no-dip shot that went viral. This song was made before that, so that was cool, too.
Yeah, not bad. Shout out to the War Chief.
Yeah, I enjoy them, appreciate them being a sponsor of the show, and definitely find that on all streaming platforms to get you hyped for tomorrow night's Game 6 between the Spurs and the Timberwolves. It'll be an 8:45-ish start time on Prime Video. Dan Weiss and I will get the WAI coverage started after Spurs Countdown. Dylan Emery gets the WAI coverage started with Spurs Countdown at 7:30. And then at 8 o'clock, Spurs Radio Game Night gets the Spurs Radio Network broadcast started. And Dan Weiss will have your call. Big game tomorrow night. Get all the good vibes going by listening to Swish on all platforms. We have some pop culture coming up next here on the starting lineup. We aren't all sports. LG has a couple lists that we're going to pick and choose from. We're going to go with top streaming shows coming up next. And then tomorrow we're going to talk top movies. And I have something that I want to do, except I have a morning show to do tomorrow morning. But there is a CD coming out at midnight tonight. And if you don't know, you'll know here when we come back on the other side, one of the biggest names dropping a new album. I need to figure out exactly when, but sometime in midnight here in the United States time, it'll be a fun night that'll keep me up. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break here. This is the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
This is San Antonio FC Insider, brought to you by Goodwill.
San Antonio FC midfielder Jorge Hernandez hit another league milestone in his young career against Colorado Springs on May 2nd with his 2 goals, bringing him to 75 USL Championship goal contributions. The 25-year-old becomes the 36th player in league history and the second youngest player all time to reach the landmark. His 5 goals this season are tied for second most in the league. Jorge just marked his 102nd team appearance in the matchup against Phoenix this past weekend and leads the league with 31 chances created. That's today's SAFC Insider. I'm Katie Goodman.
When you donate or shop at Goodwill, your books open up opportunities. Your boots get someone's foot in the door. Your donated goods mean professional career training right here in our community. Good job, everyone.
Creating content to promote your brand is a 24/7 hustle these days. If you're looking for someone to professionally provide videos, photos, and more, reach out for a free consultation. Hi, I'm Karl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of the starting lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer professional live streaming, podcast recording, photos, videos, social media strategy, and more. To learn more, shoot me an email at karlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirKarl. That's Karl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
It's time to warm up that scoreboard and get ready to bring home the win with Specs. Specs has you covered with lower prices on all your favorite fan fuel. From craft beer, rare spirits, and world-class wine to chips, dips, and gourmet finer foods. And with same-day delivery when you order online or through the app, Specs is your MVP for the biggest score of the game. At Specs, the fun starts here.
Here's to you, cheers to savings.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya, guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Hi, it's Mr. T. San Antonio RVs, locally owned. That's right, they're a mom and pop shop. From new RVs to pampered pre-owns, from big to small, whether you need a 4-person RV, an 8-person RV, or even bigger, they've got you covered. Sales, consignment, service, whatever you need, check out SanAntonioRVs.com. Matt, the big dog, will take care of everything you need. And if you need service, now's the time to get it scheduled. Once again, that's SanAntonioRVs.com.
Right now, you're one of thousands tuned into this station. Locked in, fired up, and ready to talk Spurs, Cowboys, and everything in between. That's the unbeatable power of live radio. It reaches you instantly, and you can't scroll past it. Plus, we're streaming and growing on social media. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this passionate audience. And when you join us, you get professional social media production included, content created for your business. Shoot us an email right now at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
Strong coffee, stronger taste. Back to Karl Schoening and the starting lineup.
This is the starting lineup, and I could have used a little bit stronger coffee this morning. It was a struggle to get over here to LG Studios, but we made it. We are live. We are in our final half hour of the show. You can reach out to us in multitude of ways. I am at On Air Karl on Instagram and X. He is at DJLG210. We are also streaming live on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. We go live randomly sometimes, not always just 6 to 8 a.m. And LG, people are getting involved in the comments, huh?
Yeah, some people are responding to the song we just played, Swish by the War Chief, a new Spurs-themed song and a new sponsor of this show. Hanover Fist is in here. He says, the girl had the best verse. Yeah, she did rock the mic there at the end there, closing out the song. Jason Lasay's in here. He says, Vassell has had a rough few games shooting, but I like his aggression. Yeah, he's kind of a streaky shooter, but he comes through. He pulls down rebounds. He plays good defense. He's out on the break all the time. And when he does get that shot locked in, he's kind of money.
The worst the Spurs played all regular season long was when Devin Vassell was out. I can't remember what it was exactly, what the injury was, but when Devin wasn't in the lineup was when I thought that the Spurs played the worst of their regular season. And he's one of these guys that the Spurs drafted him 11th overall to be maybe a borderline all-star player, hopefully, in their rebuild. They liked him as sort of the swingman that had upside and potential, but he ends up being the perfect role player. He is somebody who can defend. He did a good job on Anthony Davis in the fourth quarter of Game 3, and he is somebody who can defend multiple positions, so you don't have to necessarily hide him on any particular player in the lineup. He can go 1 through 3.
Edwards, you mean, right?
What's that?
Edwards, not Anthony Davis.
Oh, did I say Anthony Edwards? Correct. Yeah, like I said, I need more strong coffee on the show. But yes, Anthony Edwards. And I wouldn't necessarily put him on Anthony Davis, but if he needed to match up on him on a switch, I like his intensity.
He'd probably play some good defense on him. Shout out to Love Disaster 69 is up in here, a.k.a. Jeff the Turner.
What's Jeff got for us? That he has.
He's shouting out to some of the people on the chat. He says, "What's up, Lasay?" Jason Lasay is up in the chat, and he says, "The worst ex ever on Netflix has an episode about Wade Wilson, the Deadpool killer, that is well done, and also Begonia is an excellent watch."
You know, yeah, that's a pretty good segue into it. Anybody else we got to give a shout out to that joined us in the comments, though?
There's a few comments in here. Greg Castanuela's in here. He says, "Happy Baby Friday, fellas. Nice Las Vegas hat, LG." Yes, the A's are going to Las Vegas, those of you watching on the YouTube stream, I am wearing a Oakland A's hat that I purchased at the Oakland Coliseum when I went there in, I think it was 2021. And that Coliseum is a dump. Good thing they're moving somewhere better and brighter.
Are they still playing in Sacramento until?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a shame that they couldn't at least play in Oakland for a little bit. Oh well.
They needed to get out of there. That honestly, that stadium was falling apart.
Literally. No, and it's a shame because it's become so big that communities like Oakland, you just have to deal with being San Francisco is your new team. Bay Area is almost where those teams have to be. But when the Oracle Arena in Oakland was essentially outdated for the NBA's modern purposes, it just made more sense to move over to San Francisco. And unfortunately for the people of Oakland, they just got to cross the bridge instead of deal with a local team. And the Golden State Warriors at least were smart enough to represent the Bay by having the ambiguous name. They weren't the San Francisco Warriors. Very briefly, they were the San Francisco Warriors, but they decided just to claim the whole Bay Area and spend plenty of time out there in Oakland. So I feel for Oakland losing their franchises like they did, the Raiders and the Athletics, but it is one of those things that it's just sports in the 21st century. Any other comments?
Let's say just wants to know if the Pistons are cooked.
Yes, but I hope that they at least force a Game 7 for the Spurs' sake, because I think that the NBA will maybe give the Spurs a day off extra if they have to deal with the second round wrapping up with the Pistons. And hopefully the Spurs wrap things up in Game 6 against Minnesota.
Hey, you're looking way ahead there.
Yeah, well, way ahead. It's only a week, It's next
for
week.
the Spurs' sake, they still got to go through the T-Wolves and Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about Game 6, to be honest with you. The Spurs could have had this series wrapped up in a sweep. They could have had this one wrapped up in 5 if it weren't for, Wemby being ejected.
Well, and not to mention the Knicks are waiting to play the winner of the Cavs and Pistons series. So.
Yeah, and that'll be a fun Eastern Conference. And they also could use another few days of rest with OG Anunoby's hamstring strain. So I just hope that the schedule works out. We talked about in the first hour how I want to call the SAFC game, and you and I both have a gig on Thursday. So hopefully it's a Wednesday, Friday for the Spurs and the Thunder. But yes, the Spurs do need to finish up things against the Minnesota Timberwolves. However, I wanted to shift gears, and this goes back to Love Disaster 69's comment. The top streaming shows. You have the list, LG. I want to see how many of them I've even heard of, because we live in this weird era where there's just so many shows. A lot of them are really good, and it comes down to, do you have that streaming service? So what do you got for us in this list of top streaming shows?
All right, Rotten Tomatoes dropped this list just the other day, 2 days ago, and it's the top 25. We'll go through like the top 10 of these. Number 1 on the list is Lord of the Flies on Netflix, which is a excellent book that I have not read.
Is it based off the book?
Yes, it's based off the book. So it's a mini series. So apparently it's just going to be one season. That
Good.
They always say that about shows, but if it does well, they probably will make a second one. But who knows if it follows the books after the first season. But that's number 1 on the list. I do not have Netflix, so I have not seen this.
No, that's interesting. I've heard good things about the books. I have no idea about it, but I do like that we've evolved to this point of making books into not movies, because then you always have to deal with what do you keep in, what do you keep out, and how do you keep a book from turning into a 3.5-hour movie. Now we've turned it into a 10-hour series.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a lot better for those book to television adaptations. So I like that we've gotten to that point where we don't have to worry about, man, they left out all the best parts though, so all the people that read the book are disappointed in the movie. But now I like that they don't have to pick and choose what to leave in and leave out to keep it feature length.
Though, but hopefully they make it good.
Yeah. No, for sure. I feel like the Harry Potter movies will be much better adapted to the TV series, because then they can really throw in a whole bunch of things that they left out for, if season 1, if whatever it is, the Sorcerer's Stone for Harry Potter ends up being 10 hours of content, you get a lot more of what the book had in mind, as opposed to how they made it I guess, less than 2 hours of content. So, okay, Lord of the Flies is number 1. That's interesting. What else is on the list?
Number 2, according to Rotten Tomatoes, is Widow's Bay on
the
Apple
show you're
TV.
into.
And
Yeah.
I am absolutely 100% in on this show. I think there's 3 episodes or maybe 4 episodes in, and every episode has been fantastic. It stars Matthew Rhys, who was the lead actor in The Americans, and it also has Stephen Root. If you're not familiar with who Stephen Root is, if you don't recognize that name, I guarantee you've seen him in something. One of the best character actors of our generation. He played Milton on Office Space. He plays Bill on King of the Hill. Yeah, just a great all-star cast there. And it's about an island resort town over there in the New Hampshire area. And just a lot of strange and interesting things happen on this island.
Okay. Yeah, it's intriguing. It seems mystery. It seems a mysterious kind of show. Not is there comedy in it? Is it funny?
There's comedy. It's like a dark comedy, horror, mystery, thriller type of thing.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, Apple TV's been coming with some heat lately, so that's an Apple TV thing. What else do you got?
We got From rounding out number 3.
What?
From.
F-R-O-M?
Yeah,
like,
F-R-O-M.
where are you from?
It's season 4 of From, so apparently it's been around for a while. MGM Plus, which I definitely do not have.
I don't know anybody who has MGM Plus.
Yeah, I don't either, but it's number 3 here on the list. Moving down to the number 4 spot is on Disney Plus. It is Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord, season 1. So the story of Darth Maul.
In fact, it's an animated show, but the animated shows for Star Wars have become really popular, and I am actually very interested in the Darth Maul story as someone who liked Star Wars, and hopefully they correct the Star Wars movies. I know The Mandalorian and Grogu is coming out here. I think May 22nd is the date, and also they're even talking about removing that sequel trilogy, the most recent 3 movies that came out, from canon and just trying again, because nobody's watching them on Disney Plus.
I'm not a fan of removing canon, though.
It's gotten to the point where Disney admits that their first attempt at Star Wars trilogy failed, to where they want another crack at it.
See, what I appreciated about George Lucas when he was running things there before he sold out to Disney was he respected the canon. He respected the thousands of Star Wars books that were written by other authors. That all became canon, and he respected every single change that was made in those books. And when Disney bought it, they said, the books? Nah, those never happened.
Yeah, and then they did so many things in the trilogy that you actually find out years later, because I think now we're looking at almost a decade since the first episode, The Force Awakens, came out, that they actually, based off of how things went with the first movie, started to branch away from the original plan. And then there's even been a leak just recently about how they wanted to change the final movie that came out. I think it's Rise of Skywalker was the name of that one. I think they said that it was they were picking between that and another script called The Duel of Fates or something along those lines.
Okay.
And the released one seems a little bit better, but I think that's just because there was such negative reviews of how they went. But I totally agree with removing that stuff from canon, because it was just a mess.
The Force Awakens was actually episode 7. Episode 1 was The Phantom Menace.
Yes, I'm talking about episodes 7, 8, and 9. We need to remove those from canon and
7,
try
8, and
again.
9. Oh, I thought you were talking about 1, 2, and 3.
No. The prequel trilogy was great. In fact, it's
funny
how many people.
Those were terrible.
Oh, you know, I love the Phantom Menace. In fact, it's
that's
funny.
the worst one.
Oh, it's so funny how many people are saying, it turns out that the international trade issues or intergalactic trade issues end up being the thing that causes, the fall of democracy and all of that kind of stuff. It seems like
maybe they could just remove Jar Jar Binks from canon, and then everything would be great.
A lot of people thought that Jar Jar Binks was being set up to be a Sith Lord, which would have been very interesting, and they realized that his character was not well received, so they went away from that idea. But there are little Easter eggs that sort of lean towards that suggestion, so they ended up pivoting. But I do think that, Jar Jar Binks, I was amused by him as a kid. He was definitely in there for the kids, but I do now look back at it and realize that, that's why a lot of adults didn't really corny. So what do we got to round out?
Yeah,
the
let's
top
round
five?
out the list real quick. Legends season 1 on Netflix. I don't know what that is. Haven't seen it, but apparently it's a drama. The Boys season 5 is number 6, and I'm totally in on The Boys, but I haven't caught up. I haven't seen all of season 4 yet, so I'll get there at some point. Love Randy Quaid. Is it Randy Quaid? Dennis Quaid's kid, Jack Quaid, who stars in The Boys.
Yeah. That is that's not a family-friendly show, but it is something that I have been watching since I think roughly season 2 is when I got in the middle of it, and it's one of those shows that I am excited to watch every time the new episode drops. However, I realize that Generation V that you and I were talking about, sort of a spinoff, it plays a little bit into it, and I never finished season 2 of Gen V, so I'm going to watch the rest of Gen V, and then I don't know, this is like my I guess toxic trait in a way. When I like something, I don't look into how many episodes there are in the season. I just figure out, oh wow, that was the season finale, huh? And
that's not good.
I'm a little weird like that, so I don't know how many episodes are left in The Boys, but it is a good show if you are mature enough to watch it. If you don't watch it with your kids.
So 7, 8, 9, we got Beef season 2 on Netflix. Haven't seen it. Euphoria season 3. I'm not in on that, but I know the kids like Euphoria.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Margot's Got Money Trouble season 1 on Apple TV is number 9, and I watched about 3 episodes of this. It's not for me, but I can understand why people like it.
You got 3 episodes into that?
I did. Yes.
It seems like a chick show.
It's a chick show for sure. And then The Dark Wizard season 1, number 10 on HBO Max.
Never heard of it. Dark Wizard. Okay.
Yeah, it's about I think like climbing cliffs or scaling rocks or something like that.
Not world I would have guessed at all.
Nope.
Okay.
And that's the top 10 list right there, according to Rotten Tomatoes.
I'll always enjoy ways to find time to kill when I'm not watching sports, and usually streaming is the way to do it. Sometimes I doom scroll as well. I'm sure we're all guilty of that at a certain point. If you are not an addict of doom scrolling, I need to learn how you do it. We're a little overwhelmed in this social media society. I might be too old for this, but I'll tell you what I might be too old for when I come back. Very interested in hearing LG's take on this too, and maybe see if he will host the show tomorrow if I end up going MIA. We talk about it here as we wrap up hour 2 of the starting lineup on Ticket 760.
If you're not digging the content you created on your phone, maybe it's time to upgrade to a content specialist who can make your video sharp and your audio clear. Hi, I'm Karl Schoening, and I'm more than just the host of the starting lineup. I'm an expert in production work. I offer social media content creation to help your brand grow online using professional photo, video, and audio equipment. To learn more, shoot me an email at karlschoeningmedia@gmail.com or check out my work and shoot me a DM on Instagram at OnAirKarl. That's Karl with a K. Let's level up your content together.
There's another one and another one.
Spurs fans, it's playoff time in San Antonio. Get in the spirit with Swish, a new Spurs-themed song produced by Warchief featuring Troy Matthews, Big Roddy, and Ice Villa. The perfect soundtrack for this playoff run.
Watch for Wemby in the middle as he's leading all the blocks, giving go for Sella Barnes as they beat the shot clock.
Streaming now on all platforms. Swish by the Warchief. And as always, go Spurs go.
Almost 90 years ago, Academy Sports and Outdoors was born right here in Texas. So we know a thing or two about a thing or two. Like beans don't belong in Chile. It's called a feeder road. And how far really means how long. We've been your neighbor for generations. That's why we're adding Texas-sized deals across the store, only in Texas. If you happen to find a better price at a competitor, we'll beat it by 5%. Academy. Fun can't lose.
I know what you want. A great experience when getting your new vehicle, hassle-free and upfront pricing, and we promise that at World Car Hyundai. Right now, get 0% financing on 2026 Hyundai Tucsons and Santa Fe's, plus no payments for 90 days. We have low rates on Elantras and Palisades too. Plus, every new vehicle comes with America's Best 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty and Hyundai Owner's Assurance. Shop online at World Car Hyundai North or WorldCarHyundaiSouth.com and experience the difference for yourself. World Car, for a lifetime.
With approved credit through HMF.
Since 1993, Thomas J. Henry dedicated himself to building a firm that injured clients can trust and respect. A firm backed by a track record of success and a commitment to our clients. If you've been injured, trust Thomas J. Henry. San Antonio, Texas.
On Plus Nicotine Pouches present Comfort Chronicles. A 10 o'clock tea time. How comfortable. You show up in stretchy shorts, a breathable tee, and maybe no socks.
Let the dogs breathe.
While others sweat in pleated khakis, you're in your comfort zone bombing drives. And in your pocket, On Plus nicotine pouches. The softest pouch on the planet. Buy a can at onnicotine.com. Products for tobacco consumers 21 years of age or older. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
This is the year you finally get the yard you deserve. I'm talking tropical retreat, outdoor hangout, the place everyone wants to be. Moon Valley Nurseries does it all. Design, delivery, and they'll even plant for free. Not to mention, they can transform your entire yard in as little as 1 day.
1 day?
Yeah, 1 day. Your new favorite room? Maybe outside, and it's closer than you think. So if you're ready to enjoy your yard before summer, call Moon Valley Nurseries or go online today to get started.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey, San Antonio sports fans, imagine your business scoring big with thousands of passionate listeners who are already fired up about local sports. Right now, you're one of thousands tuned in to Ticket 760. This is the raw power of live radio, immediate, loyal, and impossible to scroll past. The starting lineup is looking for sponsors who want direct access to this engaged audience. Sponsors also get professional social media production included. Shoot us an email at thestartinglineupshow@gmail.com. Team up with the starting lineup on Ticket 760. Black Swan Yoga is a donation-based yoga studio with 3 locations in San Antonio. There's no pressure for a membership of any kind. Just drop in when you can, pay what you can, come as you are, and give yoga a shot. Classes start at 6 a.m. and go until 8:30 p.m. on weekdays with varieties such as hot and room temperature classes, beginner, chill, power, and all-level flow classes. I'm almost there every day, and it's a great way to relax or get a good workout in. Give yoga a shot at Black Swan Yoga San Antonio.
Pantalones Organic Tequila. Because tequila is fun. Pantalones.
Start your day with the starting lineup.
Wrapping up the starting lineup on Ticket 760. Hour 2 flew by, and I wanted a little bit more time than this, so I'll try and just hit the bullet points because I don't have time for this. But Drake, one of the greatest artists of his generation, is...
Sure.
Yeah, I know you're a Drake hater, LG. I am a Drake fan. He is of my generation. He was what was bumping when I was in college and high school, and I feel like he went on just one of those generational runs. He holds the record for consecutive weeks on the Billboard Top 100, and the only reason he fell off the Billboard Top 100 is because he took a little bit of a break, but he broke the Beatles record on that. He is dropping an album coming out Friday night at some time. We don't even know anything about it. We don't have a features list, a album length. We don't even know exactly when it's going to drop, but it will be coming out tonight. I was thinking about going to San Marcos because there's a party release, and am I too old to party with some Drake fans that are probably college students?
You're right on the line.
I am right on the line. You know what? I'll take that as a yes, and I might be rolling in very tired, but I think we're going to have a new guest, a new member of the starting lineup when we come back tomorrow at 6 a.m. Stay tuned to hear that. Dan Patrick is next on Ticket 760. Y'all have a good rest of your Thursday, everyone.
Spurs Insider. Brought to you by South Padre Island.
On May 14th, 2014, the Spurs ousted the Portland Trailblazers 104-82 at the Frost Bank Center to win their best-of-7 Western Conference semifinals 4-1 and advance to the Western Conference Finals for the 3rd consecutive season. Danny Green and Kawhi Leonard each scored 22 points, while Patty Mills chipped in 18 off the bench. Tim Duncan added 16 points and 8 rebounds. The Spurs as a team had a playoff-high 48 fast break points to earn the win. That's today's Spurs Flashback. I'm Dan Weiss.
Summer